We're at the biggest Halloween show in the world. It's called Transworld, and it's where pro Halloween artists and makers come to show off their best stuff.
This is our first year at the show, and it's been an absolute whirlwind. It is massive.
There are a lot of things to see here, so let's get right into our favorites. There were a lot of insanely cool animatronics at the show. There was one in the dark zone of this girl who floats up into the air and then all her arms and legs get mangled, just like Chrissy from Stranger Things. It was awesome.
Rip Chrissy. I love this one because I think animatronics are way more fun when they tell a story, like something's happening with the motion.
There were a lot of good ones, but we'll get back to the animatronics in a bit.
So obviously fog is a big part of any Halloween setup, and there was some really cool fog tech there. But this was my favorite.
I want to make one of these so bad.
It's called the A1 Thanos from DJ Power. It was great.
Also the fog cannon. Yes. What a good idea.
Shooting fog rings 20 feet away. Amazing.
So I've gotten really into building animatronics lately. Later this year, we're gonna try to do some videos on building one from scratch if we can figure it out. But it was awesome to see so much tech at the show for making your own stuff. They had like prop controllers and servos and pneumatics.
There were also tons of examples of things you can do with them that aren't just like a ghost rotating back and forth. It was so creative and super inspiring. So this one booth had these beautiful vampire girls that were made out of body casting, which is where you take a mold of someone's body and then cast it. The results are insanely realistic.
They put someone's entire body in like what, like silicone or something? Imagine that. You just take like a silicone bath.
It sounds like really claustrophobic.
But the results are so awesome. So it's a Halloween show. There's gonna be monsters. A lot of monsters.
Whether you were looking to buy something or just be inspired, there were so many insanely unique and creative monsters at the show.
The huge variety of characters and styles is one of the best things about going to a show like this and seeing the things in person. Everyone approaches making them a little differently, so you get to see a lot of different techniques.
Which one was your favorite?
My favorite? I think the freakiest one was the lady from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
So disturbing.
I walked by like, ah! There was a lot of good ones. What about you?
We've been watching Last of Us, so this fungus zombie really stood out to me. Plus, I've been looking for a way to make spooky mushrooms.
Yeah, he did look like a fun guy to be around.
Okay, super random, but one booth had chocolate skulls and bones. It was amazing, like chocolate body parts. Delicious.
They were these insanely detailed sculptures of like, yeah, skulls and eyeballs and like femurs and bones and stuff, but it was all edible chocolate. It was so cool. Speaking of random too, you know, one thing I thought was great.
No, seriously? Yes. That can't be on our list.
Blue hat guy. He was there selling knives for some reason. Not even like fake prop knives, like real butcher knives. Michael Myers shops at Transworld for his serial killer knives.
There were some interesting booths there. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love getting mail, but is the post office here?
I have no idea. Mail out some stuff, I guess.
Yes. So we recently got an airbrush, which I'm still learning how to use, but there were all these painting booths that we were checking out, and they were doing body painting. The artists doing these were insanely talented.
Totally agree. Also, the people who actually had to get painted had to stand there perfectly still for like a whole day. It was wild. It was really, really neat to watch.
Do you think they got cold?
Yeah, probably.
Also, some of them were using UV lights that glow in black light, which is crazy.
My favorite was Kratos though, because we just played God of War Ragnarok recently. It was awesome. So again, it's a Halloween show. There are tons of people selling costumes, but one booth that really stuck out to us was from Tracy at Terra Class Aesthetics. He had this awesome dystopian like Mad Max style, which I just really love.
So these are amazing costumes. I love the style that you have. How do you come up with such great ideas?
Honestly, I got a really weird process. So similar to how I read books, I have to have music in the background just to like get in character and feel the vibe. I'll start with the full mask, and then once I feel like that this is kind of the embodiment of the character, I start building around that.
So all the details in here are really cool, and it actually looks like this is a door handle. Are you using all sorts of random objects here?
Pretty much any trash I find laying around that looks like it can have any functional purpose. Simple as door handles, a recycled belt. This was a clear bottle, and then I just took a spray can top. You can get to the point where like the knuckles on here are walnuts, and these are recycled vape pens.
Those are actual walnut shells?
Yeah.
That's so cool. So Morris Animatronics is part of the group that supplies retailers like Spirit Halloween and Home Depot with some of the animatronics that they sell. They were showing off a bunch of their new stuff, which is awesome because we can get a little glimpse into what we might see on the shelves later this year.
Like the rat guy? I don't know if he's gonna be on the shelves, but I hope he is, because I want to do a makeover. We can make Master Splinter.
Yes.
So some of my favorite animatronics at the show were from Beastcraft. I used to be a 3D animator and I really like studying movement. And the props that Dustin makes are just next level when it comes to like natural and lifelike motion. We chatted with Dustin for a bit on his process.
So the first thing we do is we just kind of imagine what we want the character to do, visualize it in our imagination, and then we act it out. And then obviously we have to translate that into a mechanical movement. We just try it and we go through trial and error and work out the bugs.
Even the pros have to go through that sort of thing where you try, fail, and then eventually you figure it out.
One thing I love are the interactive setups, like the experiential things you get to try. There was this elevator that you go in and you press the button and all of a sudden it's shaking and it feels like you're falling down this mine shaft. It was awesome. The video screen and the moving gears inside really help sell the illusion.
The stuff that you can interact with is just, like, in addition to it looking great, it's just fun. Like there was one booth where you kind of had to walk through this like creepy fog and then up this dark staircase, and when you got to the top, there was this bird's eye view of the whole show. Anytime you can build some sort of interactive element into your hunt or your setup, I think it's just way better.
A couple of vendors had this material you can use that makes any surface look rusty.
Yeah, but with like actual rust.
Right, like it's this little metal flakes that you mix with paint and then spray with an activator and it creates rust. And like the cool thing is you can use it on any surface like foam or cardboard or wood. I think we're gonna try and make a video on using this stuff because it looks like a really quick and easy way to get a super authentic effect.
Next on the list is just all the giant oversized stuff. There were some huge props, like giant animatronics and pumpkins. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of them are meant to be like photo ops, so they're really fun and whimsical, and I love them. It reminds me of Disneyland.
Another cool thing about a lot of these props is they're meant to be outside and climbed on, which means they're super sturdy. We really need to figure out how to make our props that durable.
Speaking of giant things, next up are the animatronics from Scare Factory. These are larger than life and so insanely cool.
It's like they just supersized everything, like they're massive. So the dark zone is this huge room and there's no lights on. It's where you see a lot of the big crazy stuff. But also stuff that only works in the dark, like special lighting effects and things like that.
This is where all the really cool animatronics are, and warning, some of them are pretty gross. So next on our list is Ghost Ride. The owner, Michael, is the one who actually encouraged us to go to Transworld, and not only do they make the most insanely hyper-realistic props, but they are like the nicest people we've ever met. So the stuff they make is a little on the gory side, but it is so realistic. They actually had some EMTs in the booth checking stuff out, and they were complimenting them on how lifelike everything looked.
It's exceptionally good work. That's probably why they've been going to Transworld for 25 years. Yeah, the Ghost Ride team went so far out of their way to help us get into the show and introduce us to everyone. I don't know, just make sure our first Transworld was like this royal experience. It was absolutely amazing. So thanks, Ghost Ride. You guys made this an incredible show for us, and we're super thankful for that. Okay, so if you've watched our show for a while, you know that we love practical, clever effects. And the guys from VFX Creates they had a bunch of cool stuff at their booth that was just really fun and clever.
I really want to make something like this.
As a maker, I just love seeing perfect execution of like simple and clever ideas. It's hard to do, but when it's done right, it is fantastic.
So coming in at number 4 were the masks. Holy cow, there were a lot of beautiful masks. There were monsters and clowns and demons of all sorts and a cheeseburger. This hamburger mask is absolutely amazing. What is your process for making something like this?
So this is a silicone mask. He's completely wearable. We sculpted him completely in monster clay. It's an oil-based clay. Then we made a fiberglass epoxy mold, and then we fill it with silicone and paint it with silicone paints.
How do you make like the shiny areas here?
The silicone wants to be shiny. You actually kind of have to work to get it matte. So we just kind of left the paint the way it naturally is on the lettuce and stayed pretty shiny.
Another artist I really like who makes super unique masks is Brandy Morris from Brandy Beasts. I love these masks because you've got accessories on them. You've got the silicone and you're doing all of the actual normal mask making stuff, plus a bunch of other stuff. Could you take us through your process?
I like to do shapes in the clouds. So even when I'm sculpting, I know I want to make a werewolf, but I let the clay speak. And it's like, okay, you're this kind of werewolf. You work with it instead of against it. And it's the same thing with all the organic textures you're talking about. I'll find some materials I really like. I'll figure out how I want to glue them in so they stay. And then I kind of let the material speak. It's like, all right, we're going to design around this.
Is every mask you make unique?
Yes. They will never be the same. The sculpture might be, but the finish will never be the same by design.
You know the best mask though? The Sphinx. Oberon would have been proud.
Easily the most horrific thing in the whole building. Hands down. Number 3 spot is this giant haunted house facade at the 13th floor booth. So these guys run some of the biggest haunted houses in the world, and for their booth they built this massive 20-foot tall haunted house essentially that you could kind of go in the front of and do like meetings and it was just really, really good.
It was kind of unreal. The stonework, the woodwork, the plants, like it was amazing.
We spent like an hour just walking around checking out all the detail. I mean, it was like really, really detailed. It was wild how much work they put into this booth.
Can we build one in our backyard?
What about our front yard? The whole front of our house should just be this.
That would be so cool. Number 2 on our list, and my personal favorite, is this amazing werewolf. It has these handles on the back that you can use to turn him like back and forth and push him in and out and give you this incredibly lifelike motion.
It was a reminder that you don't need high-tech, expensive stuff to bring things to life. There's a really clever way to do it and it looked great. My number 1 favorite thing at Transworld was Distortions Unlimited. Probably not a big surprise here. They're super well known in the Halloween industry and they've been making some of the best props in the world since 1978. What I like best though is that it's classic stuff. You know, there's gargoyles and grim reapers and vampires and like werewolf, like that kind of stuff. You know, you don't see as much blood and gore, which is personally more my style.
And they have a lot of unique props too, like this alien containment unit. It shakes and then jumps out at you and spits water, and there's fog, and so cool. And then there's this guy in an electric chair and he's like, amazing.
It is seriously amazing. You know, somebody described the motion as very violent, like it's really jerky and just crazy, and just like being in the presence of watching it, it's really, really intense. which is something that I think Distortions brings that's unique to everybody else. When we make our own animatronics eventually, they're gonna be a huge inspiration. In fact, we even talked about even doing a collaboration video with Distortions at some point, so hopefully we can make that happen.
That would be awesome. Our first Transworld was incredible, and we'll definitely be going back next year. So not only did we get to meet a bunch of amazing artists, but we got to meet a bunch of you guys.
To everyone who said hi and told us that they love watching the channel, it means a lot and it really helps us keep going, so thank you.
Until next time, stay wicked.